This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance.
You know, our tagline is, we don't make the vehicle, we make it yours. When we say that, we're trying to make the vehicle work ideally for that person, whether it's a do-it-yourselfer on the weekends, whether it's a contractor, whether it's an off-roader. We're trying to get the product to work for that person.
What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back to another episode of Do It for a Living. I'm Todd Ersley with My Shop Assist, and today I've got with me Jason Gauci. He is the VP of Brand and Product Development over at Lund International. Really excited to kind of hear more about the business and, kind of what you guys are looking for and what you guys are doing for the future, but wanted to get the podcast started, just hear about you yourself. So if you can give us a little background about yourself, where did you grow up? What were you going down the path of professionally? And then, kind of bring us up to the point of working with Lund International.
Yeah, so I grew up on a little small town, upstate New York, about an hour north of Albany. 10,000 people. My dad was a mechanic when I was growing up. So I was always around cars, trucks, even small engines like mopeds, snowmobiles, ATVs. So really, the engines were in my blood from the very beginning, and I played with a lot of those cars and snowmobiles. My dad, we didn't have much growing up, but we had enough. My dad made me a little mini bike, no brakes, but just a little engine that could go, and it really got me going to where I wanted to be doing something with the automotive world. So I went to Clarkson University up in northern New York to be a mechanical engineer. And that's where I got my degree, with every intention to go into Detroit to work for the Big Three. But after college, with all that weather and the colds, and I just could not go to Detroit. So I had to go south.
Yeah.
So I really, took a turn from my career, and I started at home improvement, working a lot with Home Depot and Lowe's, and started as a mechanical engineer, and then transitioned into more of a product development role and in home improvement, until I got this opportunity at Lund, and it came out of the blue. And I'm like, oh, this is a great opportunity to get me really into the automotive industry again. So about 6 years ago, I took it, and I've been thrilled ever since.
So you got your mechanical engineering degree, and then were you making products like for Home Depot? How did that work?
Yeah. So I would engineer. Started as lighting. Outdoor lighting.
Okay.
I would actually design the lights themselves, residential and commercial. And then
so do they have their own brand of product? I didn't realize that they made anything. I thought they just sold stuff.
At the time, we were under Regent Lighting.
Okay.
And then they created their own private label brands.
Okay, gotcha. So it's just not called Home Depot. It's called something else. Okay.
Yeah, they have different private label brands. And then I had the opportunity to work at Newell Rubbermaid, very big, public traded consumer products in a number of different brands there. Spent about 10 years in product development, making everything from blinds to hardware to tools. And I really didn't do a whole lot of engineering. I did the product management, product development, marketing side of things. So, and that experience is good where you can not only design and build, but you can understand what the consumer really wants and be able to market in the right manner, in the right demographic, geographic area, et cetera. So my collection of skills over the time kind of worked well with this position over at Lund International, where I would be in charge of all of it, from soup to nuts, start to finish. We call it cradle to grave.
Yep. So now, the transition from working at the Home Depot and the other manufacturing facility or product maker. How long were you working there before you switched over?
So I was there at Newell for about 10 years.
Okay.
And, we went through a lot of changes. We relocated from North Carolina down to Atlanta. That was a big move for my family. It was a great move, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that move. But no, I appreciated all the time I spent at Newell, learned a ton, and I was able to take a lot of that knowledge over to Lund that they didn't have that skill set prior.
Cool. So how did that job come about? You kind of talked about it earlier that it was just kind of out of nowhere, but what brought that on? Was it a career fair or like drinks with a friend kind of deal? How did that come about?
Lund's recruiter called me and found me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So it was a pretty straightforward, I got in and hit it off pretty well with the VP at the time and the president, and just got going as a product manager. And I worked myself up through the ranks over the past few years. I was in sales for a period of time. I was in supply chain, product development, marketing, and now I'm blessed to be the VP of brand and product.
Very cool. Yeah, it's LinkedIn is just such a weird thing for me. I kind of in the aftermarket, like I guess the small shop aftermarket world, it's totally worthless. It just, who cares? You tune cars, you install stuff, doesn't matter. But in the corporate world, it's totally different. I mean, when I went back and got my master's degree, we even had like classes and speakers on making a good name for yourself on LinkedIn. And it was ridiculous. And looking back, it's like, well, I guess, that's what really works for some people. If like a headhunter or somebody came after you because of that, that's pretty amazing.
It's the first thing we look at when we look for a position.
Yeah.
If we're looking for a product manager, we go to LinkedIn first.
So I guess that's a note to everybody to keep it at least current. You don't have to do
exactly.
stuff. I have absolutely no idea what my LinkedIn profile says. I probably haven't looked at it in 5 or 6
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who
keep
knows?
it updated. Yeah.
Oh, good idea. Good idea. So so you touched on the location. Is Lund located in Atlanta?
Yeah, a little north of downtown, about 45 minutes, a town called Buford. And it's right off of 85, Highway 85.
So you being moved down there, that really, the opportunity probably wouldn't have presented itself if you hadn't have made the move.
No, there's not a whole lot in North Carolina, especially in the automotive field, unless you're working for like NASCAR or somebody like that. So Atlanta, there's a lot more opportunities for automotive down here. So I didn't have to move either. I was out I'm about 40 minutes, west of here from my home, my family's home. So it wasn't that bad of a drive.
Yeah, Atlanta is quite the amazing town. I get kind of jaded being here in Dallas where I'm located, but Atlanta is a huge hub, and we've actually had several guests that are located there, and it seems to be a very good place to own and operate a business. Is that kind of the sentiment that you found there as well?
It is. They're very pro-business. They listen. We were just meeting with the county a couple months ago on some electricity issues. Well, they jumped in and solved the problem, and then gave us a tax credit based on the past few years of our problems. So they're very much pro-business. They want us to stay here, and they do whatever it takes to stay here. We employ roughly 500 people in this county alone. So they listen to us, and it's a great relationship. We actually just won the manufacturer of the year in this county this year. So we were very proud
cool.
to.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are both manufacturing, and is that where the distribution center is located as well?
Yes. The manufacturing is over in Lawrenceville, Georgia. The distribution and headquarters is out of Buford. So they're about 20 minutes apart.
Okay. So they're not too far apart.
No, not bad at all. And we also have 6 other manufacturing companies throughout the United States, Florida, Texas, a couple in Indiana, California, and I'm missing another one up in Michigan.
Okay, so you got kind of spread out all over the place, but just smaller scales.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So now walk us through, what your job duties are now. So it's a VP of brand and product development is a pretty extensive title. What does that actually entail working for Lund?
I walk in here every day and I have a totally different day each and every day. It comes at me from every different angle. Over brands, it's really looking at where we're positioned in the marketplace. We have 10 brands, and each of them have their own kind of personality and different targeted consumer segment. So we look at where our competitors are lying and where we need to play in order to grow and be successful. So it's really strategic direction of those brands. That's one of my roles. The other one is product development and line extensions. Like, we're working hard on the new Jeep Wrangler, the new Ram that just was released and out to the marketplace, the Silverado that's about to hit the market soon. We need all the products because we don't have anything universal. Everything that we make is very vehicle application specific. So we've got to find where all those bolts are in the new frames. We've got to understand what's underneath the hood. We got to know everything about these vehicles so we can create the right product for that truck or car or Jeep. So that's my second role. My third role is intellectual property, where we have to not only defend our current patents, but we have to create new intellectual property, patents, trademarks. So, we can take advantage of our brains and really keep competitors at bay. It's easy these days to set up a shop online and be a pretty good competitor, simply on price. Well, if you have a unique product and you have it protected, they can't come at you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another piece of the business we are very focused on. And I guess the fourth piece is keeping the fires down. Everything, there's always, let's do this. We've got issues here. I'm kind of the day-to-day, let's make sure things are running properly and moving forward. So I've got a lot of hats.
Lots of hats. Yeah. The one that interests me a lot is the product development side. Are you able to get like pre-production vehicles or, to get measurements? I know SEMA's been doing quite a bit of that at their, I don't know if they have any on the East Coast, but
yeah, it's over in California.
It's over in California. Yeah. So,
so we have that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have access obviously to SEMA, but also if we have relationships with some of these OE guys, a big part of our business is OE. So, if we do have a bid and, we're the winning bidder of that, a part on that vehicle, we'll have early access. Yes.
Okay.
If not, we still have relationships up there where we can get to a vehicle a little bit early and be able to measure and, test fit and all this stuff. We're doing that now with the Silverado.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to me like if you want to make, like the fender flare, having first to market is enormous there because people are going to go out and buy
critical.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's all about first to market. And that's why I'm pushing so hard, with my team and the engineers to really get the tools done, make sure it fits well, you don't have any drilling and that it looks like it fits on the vehicle.
Yeah, because like it came that way.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to flow with the lines of that vehicle. So that's really critical. I'm a very detailed oriented guy, and I know I can tell you any car that drives by and all the details behind it. It's just in my blood.
That's cool.
So it trickles down from here.
So switching over to like the intellectual property side, just looking through the products that you guys make, to me, nothing sticks out as unique. So can you kind of explain maybe one of the products that you guys have a patent on that you guys have, been able to fight or, is a good one? Because like when I see fender flares, I don't see, that's not unique, or like a steel bumper or something, that's been done for decades. So what is something that you're actually getting intellectual property on?
So right now we have about 140 active patents It's mainly utility too. There are some design patents in there, but they're mainly utility. One example that we're finding success and successfully defending is the amp power steps. We have a number of linkages, designs within that, and how it functions and how it folds.
And that's the step that like opens up or comes down when you open the door.
Yeah, the electric power step. Yep. With the, we have it plugged into the OBD port. So, instead of wiring it up for each of the doors, you just plug it in, and whenever a door opens, it automatically deploys.
Cool.
We're consistently adding to these patents too and evolving them. So it's not just you throw it out there and you defend it for 20 years. You grow the pie or
the portfolio,
the width of that patent. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because I think was it the aftermarket that did that first, or because I remember the Lincoln Navigator had that a long time ago. It feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, and we license it out.
Ah, very cool. So that's something that you guys are one of the companies thought of, and you're licensing it to the OEs, huh?
That's right.
Oh yeah, so that's how you make the big bucks, I think, or I've been told. Oh, that's very cool. I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about maybe something not so happy? Was there ever a time in your career that maybe even working at Lund that you were like, man, I don't know if this is going to work out? How did you, overcome that struggle?
There's always, concerns. You got to have a plan B would be my recommendation. I always have a backup plan. I'll give you an example from Newell. I worked there for 10 years, and, watching a brand die off is the worst feeling, especially if you have a little bit of ownership in that brand.
Yeah.
And, the people above you, and there may be a good reason for it. They don't want to put the right investments into the brand to help fund it, because, if you don't have the brand, the name, you're going to be just like another, Chinese knockoff company. You've got to invest in the brand. So I've seen that in the past, and it's been frustrating. And here we take focus in these brands, because if we don't have a brand and we don't have IP, we're just like everybody else. So, that's a big part of, what I'm trying to do here. I think from a product development standpoint, we launched it was a couple of years ago. We launched a bumper, and I knew from the start, it was not only in my eyes not appealing, but it was very difficult to install and assemble.
Okay.
And I knew, and the price point was high, and I knew that this wasn't going to be a big volume product, and I just had a bad feeling about it. And sure enough, it just was a dog from the get-go. And I should have went with my gut. And we do, when we send out new concepts and prototypes, we do get feedback from consumers. We go to about 80 trade shows a year. We do some consumer research online, and, some of it's good, but some of it doesn't really tell us enough information whether we should launch it or not. Sometimes you just got to go with, hey, this is unique and different. Let's give it a shot and see what the market. You just got to throw it out there and see what happens.
So are you sending people pictures of renderings, to get a yes/no kind of feedback?
That's one of them. Yeah, you can you can do a simple survey online and say, hey, do you like this concept, A, B, or C? And and then you can also have open in your comments where they can say, I like this, but change the angles of the corner.
Okay.
So we get that, and we also ask people at these shows, hey, what do you think? We got a couple prototypes. We did that at SEMA this year. We had 2 or 3 concepts on these trucks.
Oh, that's cool. Yep.
And asked around, and we got specific feedback on what we need to change. So great way of product development, because we continuously have to listen to the consumer. They're the ones using the products. So
yeah, if they don't buy it, you've got trouble.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, so that that's you're going to have duds, I guess, with if you're manufacturing products, you're not going to get home runs every time. So You're just trying to mitigate the chances of that happening and go with your gut in that case, right?
Exactly.
So what about something you guys are doing right now that's got you fired up?
Actually, yesterday I was working on a new vehicle for SEMA. This is an all-new concept, let's just call it that, that we're working a little bit with one of the OEs on. And it's going to be unveiled at SEMA, and it should be a pretty eye-opener for a lot of people. So it was pretty awesome to see some of these renderings.
Very cool. Can you give us a little hint, or is it all like super secret society?
It falls within our, truck and Jeep world.
Uh-huh.
And it's a vehicle that people in our world have been asking for it to come back to the market.
Okay.
So that's all I really can say.
Okay. I think I have my guess, but I'll leave it open.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's really cool to hear, you guys are already planning ahead for SEMA. I guess it's not that too far away. I attend SEMA. We don't display there anymore. PRI is our big show, but, the off-road truck scene has just continued to grow, and it absolutely blows my mind how much people are willing to spend on those things. And have you guys seen like a consistent growth in the market that kind of matches what the numbers that SEMA's putting out?
Yeah, we have, especially in that off-road world and the overland camping type of consumer. So it's a continuous growth. We've seen it probably since 2014. It's really started, picking up. And the current trucks are still doing well too. You do it yourself weekend kind of truck is still growing as well. I mean, we're seeing our applications for cars sales are declining. We're seeing CUVs going up significantly. And we're seeing that steady truck growth rate. So it's been very good in all aspects and channels of distribution from our side.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And one thing that we like to discuss it a lot is about the EPA stuff and the CARB issues. And it seems that a lot of manufacturers aren't even shipping to California anymore if it's not CARB certified for parts. And so when you're in the off-road truck market or overland or any of that stuff, it doesn't matter because, you're doing accessories. So it just seems to me that market has much larger potential for growth because, you can put fender flares and wheels and tires and light bars and bumpers and whatever you want to do to it. And it's not going to affect any of the emission stuff.
Exactly. And now these trucks are so decked out and so comfortable to drive. Now they're daily drivers for families.
For almost everybody.
Yeah, even the Jeeps now.
Were you guys cheering Ford's announcement recently that they're going to pretty much just focus on light trucks, like light and medium duty trucks? Like they're not even making hardly any cars anymore.
Oh yeah. I was expecting that, but I'm glad they kept the Mustang. I mean, keep that one. But yeah, for everything else, it made total sense. Absolutely.
Well, hopefully that will, keep you guys going on down the path of growth for sure.
That's our focus is, truck, SUV, and Jeep. That's where, we want to continue to grow, and that's our core.
Awesome. Well, on that, let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
We all know owning a shop is difficult, so we created My Shop Assist to help you manage the various jobs. Whether you run a machine shop, a performance tuning shop, build off-road trucks, or even do powder coating, My Shop Assist can help you. It is completely online and will help you schedule the jobs, log time on each task, track parts orders, and take pictures of the work. You can even export your jobs from My Shop Assist into QuickBooks as invoices. So if you're interested to improve operations at your shop, check out myshopassist.com to start your 30-day free trial.
Okay, so we're back with Jason Gauci of Lund International and wanted to get a kind of a sense of the company. You said earlier it's got about 500 employees there, but kind of break down how the business is structured, and then if you can, give us a little insight into even the companies that you guys own and then what they specialize in, if you can kind of remember it offhand, if you don't have your cheat sheet in front of you.
Oh, I know it by now.
Okay.
So Lund International is a holding company and 1,200 employees throughout the United States, and we're a manufacturing company. That's what our focus is. But the brands underneath the umbrella of Lund International, AMP Research, the electric power steps, AVS, the side window deflectors, event visor, bug deflector 2, hood shields, Belmore, which is our heavy truck brand that does protection around a heavy truck, Bushwhacker, fender flares, body protection, Lund, the brand Lund. It's all exterior accessories, running boards, Nerf bars, bull bars, tonneau covers, visors, hood shields, everything that goes around the truck. Rampage, that's really focused on Jeep and off-road, soft tops, bumpers, all sorts of accessories. And Roll and Lock's a retractable hard cover that we manufacture down in Florida. Very nice product. Stampede is a, they manufacture fender flares, visors, shields, bed rail and tailgate caps. And then Tonneau Pro, which focuses on soft tonneau covers for trucks.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
and I left one more. That was 9. Roadworks. That was a recent acquisition, and that is a heavy truck. They focus on stainless steel. The look, when you want to bolt on stainless steel to your Class 8 truck and make it blinged out, you go to Roadworks.
That's how you go to. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you like rolling through those names. Like I've had several, SUVs and trucks over the years, and I think I've had products from at least half of those on like one of them at some point in time. So yeah.
Thanks for your support.
Yeah, no problem. I'll probably be buying more. Yeah, the Roll-In Lock has always been my favorite. My dad's always put those on his trucks, and I like them a lot.
And we just launched an E-Series, electric series cover that with a key fob, push of a button, it opens and closes. Oh, it's pretty slick.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
really.
With, the Lund International Holding Company, do you know any of the history of that? Like, is it still like a single family owned kind of deal, or is it kind of branched off into being like a private equity fund or hedge fund or something?
It's owned by a private equity company out of Texas, and they've owned us for about 7 years roughly, and they do a great job with helping us acquire the right assets in the right companies, some that, a lot of that just bolt on that makes sense with our offering as far as exterior, interior accessories for vehicles. And they acquired us from another private company, but these brands really came in together as all family owners. Bushwhacker has a history back to 1967, Roll and Lock from 1992. AVS goes all the way back to 1935. Jeez. Belmore from 1921. So, and they were all, this one owner that, built up these brands. And they got great, rich history and unique products in history that we can still, push these days. And it resonates to consumers.
So are you as Lund manufacturing the products, for these other companies in one location, or are they still, if somebody's making bumpers, somewhere else and you guys acquire the company, are you bringing that in-house, or are they still doing it at their facility?
For the most part, we do it in each individual facility. We have 6 locations, manufacturing locations, and there are a few manufacturing locations that do, multiple brands, but for the most part, they do their individual brands.
Interesting. Do you think there'd be any like strategic advantage to bringing that all under one roof, or is it just kind of a logistical, like a headache of too much change?
Well, if there's synergies in like the equipment manufacturing processes, then yeah, there's probably room for more efficiencies and consolidations. But right now, making a tonneau cover is so much different than making a fender flare as far as the process.
Yeah, you got like a plastic injection molding, and then you've got fiberglass or stamped steel or something like that. Yep.
Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense from that standpoint. So we keep them separate. We merge, very methodically and make sure that we do it right, not just from a manufacturing standpoint, but from a branding value proposition from a consumer standpoint as well.
So with kind of want to talk about the recent acquisition that you just mentioned. When, what kind of brought that on? What was the reasoning behind going to find that company? Was it filling a void that you guys wanted to be in, or was it just the opportunity presented itself of the owner saying, hey, I want to sell this company. Do you guys want to buy it? What were the actual steps that were involved with acquiring a company like that?
It's all about the bling. It really is. It's, we had Belmore class. Belmore focused on class 6 through 8 heavy trucks.
Okay.
And that is a very functional, just protecting the truck. Nothing sexy about it. Well, we needed something to complement it from a product side to really help it go along to more mainstream trucks. So Roadworks fit in well where, now you've got the look, the bling stuff, but you also have the functional, I'm going to protect your truck product. So that's really, those two brands work well together in that aspect. So that's really why we focused on Roadworks.
Okay. So there was a little bit of matching, but you guys went out and were looking for that specific company style.
Yeah, that fit well with our strategy and getting Belmore, a little bit more, I would say, mainstream and more hip.
Was there anything in particular you can think of that maybe, set that company apart? Was it, the finances? Was it the friendly owners? Was it, or just like the product list that they already had? Or maybe you even just saw a lot of opportunity for growth?
They had a great relationship out in the marketplace. They have a couple great people that really know class 6 through 8 trucks. They don't have a whole lot of intellectual property. They don't have a whole lot of, specialty equipment. They have stamping equipment. Anybody can do that. Mm-hmm. But they know trucks, they know people, and they just, that's really why we bought them, is because they just knew the business. They knew the industry. And we were excited to get them going, and not just within Roadworks, but helping us with Belmore as well.
Okay. Yes. There's kind of multi-fronts there. It made sense to purchase an existing company than to go out and just develop it yourself, huh?
Yep.
Touching on the direction for product development, are you kind of directing everybody else on where they need to go, or do those other brands kind of have autonomy and just, say, I guess for a company like Roll-N Lock that comes to mind, like they're just going to make Roll-N Lock beds to fit all the different trucks. But if there's something, maybe like Bushwhacker's got a new design for the fender flares or something like that, is that coming from up top, or are they generating that sort of direction?
No, it comes out of here. It comes right out of here. And, we have a monthly call with a cross-functional team, and, we're listening to the marketplace, seeing the new products that are out there from competitors, looking at these new vehicles, understanding the new technology. These days, between all the sensors and the cameras and everything that these trucks are now getting in cars, it's becoming more and more of a challenge to design and develop around these things, because you don't want to interfere with them. So you want to work with the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So we do a very deep dive into all these vehicles and understand which trim levels have what, and how we can make the product work with the vehicle. And our goal, our tagline is, we don't make the vehicle, we make it yours. When we say that, we're trying to make the vehicle work ideally for that person, whether it's a do-it-yourselfer on the weekends, whether it's a contractor, whether it's an off-roader. We're trying to get the product to work for that person and make the vehicle theirs.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds like a full-time job, honestly. Like that to me, that sounds like that just alone, with how many different products are out there. Because I think, does one of the companies make bumpers, like aftermarket bumpers? Yeah, I just think like parking sensors. Like you've got them on the front and the back now. So, is all that kind of stuff like integrated in?
It is, and different trim levels have a great example is the new Wrangler JL. They have different trim levels, sport, Sahara, Rubicon.
Yep.
And now you've got different bumpers and you've got different fog lights. So the fog lights are even different between each trim level. And then the sensors, there's some sensors that are different within each trim level. So it's getting more and more complicated from an OE standpoint. And we've got to stay on top of that in order to give the consumer what they want and make it easy for them to install it and to incorporate the technology that's already on that vehicle.
So this is kind of I guess a little product life cycle question. Are you seeing the majority of the sales coming from brand new stuff, or does it kind of like slow and steady in the beginning and then ramp up X number of years later and then just kind of gradually peter off? Or because I think for me, if you're going to spend money on accessories, it's a lot easier to get a 5-year-old truck that's half as expensive, half the price, and then you can do all that stuff. Or are you guys seeing, if you make something for the 19 Silverado, that it just flies off the shelf right away?
It's pretty much split down the middle between new vehicle sales and vehicles that are out there in the market 5 years or older.
Okay.
It's pretty 50-50. We just had a TV show done with Sam's Garage. They're on Velocity, on Sunday mornings, and they we redid a F-150, 2011 F-150. It had 160,000 miles. It needed some TLC. It was bare bones, and we dressed it up with all of our accessories. That's a big market that we need to focus on, not just all these new trucks. And then we're marketing to these guys that want to keep their trucks for a long time too. So it's very important in our business to go old, not just new.
Yep. At what point are you guys phasing out products, or is there just no need to say, okay, we're not going to make this anymore?
It depends on the vehicle. I mean, if you look at some of these vehicles, like a great example is an old Toyota 4Runner, a Gen 2 4Runner or 3. The life cycle on some of the products on there, it went up after 5 years, it dipped down a little bit, but then it's been steady for the past 10 years. It doesn't drop. Versus, a Chevy Malibu. That has a spike and it comes down.
And that's
and
it
dies.
Yeah, there's no like second life for that kind of car.
No. So it really depends on the vehicle, and it depends on the product too. If it's a core product that's it's got a good solid style to it, and it's not niche or unique, it'll last a lot longer than something that's very very with the times or hip. But designs are changing. We're in a style business, not just a functional business.
Yep.
So sometimes some of these designs just die off.
Do you go back into like those old 4Runners and redesign some of the products, or have you gotten those aren't too cool?
If it isn't broke, I'm not fixing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think nothing comes to mind like right offhand, but of some of the products that maybe were on cars 15 years ago that you wouldn't be buying today. But most of the aftermarket stuff, if it's not like blingy, it's pretty timeless.
Yeah, it is. Right. If it fits well with the vehicle. Yep.
So what about like a formal business plan? How much time and effort are you guys putting into developing and then keeping on track with the plan for Lund International?
So we do a big sales plan, that starts in October, finishes up in probably December for the next year. So we have a very detailed, here's our goals by channel of distribution. We're very diverse. We do OE, mass, farm and fleet, automotive retail, e-commerce, warehouse distributor, jobbers. So it's a diverse business that we focus kind of individually on. And we keep it, on a monthly cadence and make sure every month we know where we are and where we need to be. But we also have operations initiatives, goals for the year. We have product development initiatives. We have technology, website upgrades, how to make us more efficient from, just looking at the business and data. So there's a number of initiatives and goals strategically, not just sales, that we continuously focus on just to move this business forward, because technology While sometimes I hate it, I love it because it helps make us better if you look at it the right way.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly why we developed our My Shop Assist project management software was, hey, you can manage the builds that you've got at your shop on paper because you've done it that way forever. But if you can leverage this new technology that we've got, you can really streamline things, and it's different. It may be a little work up front, but in the end, you get a much smoother operating machine that is your business.
Yeah.
So I like hearing it from, large corporations that are doing that constantly, that focus a lot on systems improvements and operational efficiencies just so that they can stay competitive and, keep doing what they want to do, and that's make products.
Yep. And we have, over 40,000 SKUs in this business.
Oh my gosh, Jesus.
Across all 10 brands.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot to dive into that data and make sure it's accurate for one. If it's not accurate, it's worthless. But for two, diving into it and understanding it and being able to take actions from it. So you got to have the right tools to kind of cipher it down, funnel it into, manageable data. That's critical.
And then I'm guessing a lot of that is, needed or wanted by the parent company, or not, I guess not the parent company, but the owners of the company are probably, if it's a private equity firm, they're going to be very data driven on results.
They are from a sales standpoint, but they don't need to know the details as far as SKU information.
No.
That's for us from, the guys behind the desk to drive the business forward, understanding what the trends are, what's selling, what's not, how do we turn things around. It's the day to day.
So what about kind of the breakdown of the different companies as far as overall revenue goes? Is there one that just knocks it out of the park and then everything else kind of feeds off of that? Or are they all kind of doing their own thing in their own little market and contributing equally?
I wouldn't say they're all contributing equally. There's probably 5 or 6 of them that, is the bulk of the business, that have the market share. And there's, 3 or 4 of them that are kind of, not the market leader, but have a good niche and a good, offering in a certain, whether it's a geography or a certain consumer or demographic.
Okay.
But there's probably, I'd say 5 or 6 that are the bulk of it. Do
you see that shifting any in the future? Like if you're going to come out with a new brand or a new product that'll really kind of set you guys apart, or is it a pretty mature industry nowadays?
No, there is some big opportunities within, I would say, 2 of those brands to branch out a little bit more.
So tell us a little bit about promoting the businesses. They've got all kinds of different manufacturers that are all in their own different markets. What are you guys doing to market those as a whole and then individually?
We go at it from a number of different angles. The focus is really return on investment, ideally, if I can get that. But reality, when it comes to marketing, you can't always get that. But, some great examples I told you about, Sam's Garage, the TV shows that we do. We sponsor Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series. We're part of the Lifted Life on Velocity. We do social media within each of the brands. We have to boost at times, depends, on the, if we want to focus on a new product or, promotion. We want to do more in the forums and a little bit more on that side. We haven't yet, but we're planning on doing that. Search engine optimization and marketing, that's a big growth. And what I love about that is I can see the results.
Yep, pretty easily. You can see we've got this many people clicking on this link.
Exactly. And I can trace it. So, we want to do more of that, but we also are in, traditional print magazines. We're still in Motor Trend and, JP Magazine and Four Wheeler and Truck Trend and all that. And I told you about the trade shows. We go, 80 plus trade shows a year. SEMA's the biggest one, obviously, but that's a great way to show off our product. And we also have builds. I mean, we have, how many in our fleet right now? Almost 10 vehicles, trucks, Jeeps, that just showcase what we do.
Okay.
And they're all over the country.
So you guys just contract those to get built with your products and then do whatever you need to do marketing wise to get the name out there, like take them to events and stuff?
We don't contract them out. We do it ourselves.
Okay, you do
we
it
have
in-house.
rods here, and we wrench on them. I'm back there sometimes wrenching on something. If I want to know what's going on with it, how it installs the first time, I'm back there, doing it myself because I'm a hands-on guy. I like to be involved in that stuff.
Very cool.
But sponsoring, we do some sponsorships too. When brand advocates are important, and a lot of these jobbers have an opportunity to get free or discounted products from us for their vehicle at their shop, or if they're going to shows, they can build up their vehicle, and we can provide them that product because we want our product out there in the public. So that's a great opportunity for these jobbers.
And so are you going to, like, does the trade shows, does that include things like, King of the Hammer kind of stuff, like off-road?
Yep.
Just activities?
Yeah. The beauty of my job is, I was at Moab this year. Past couple of years, I've been able to go at Moab and, off-road one of our Jeeps instead of my own Jeep, which is even better.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. We go out, Jeep Beach, we go to the Unlimited off-road expos. And there's a lot of these shows throughout the United States. Pigeon Forge up in Tennessee is a big event for Jeep. So they're all over the place, and we try to focus on education at these shows, but also interaction, learning from them, and showing off the new product.
Yeah, because I was in high school and a little bit in college into the off-road truck stuff, but I've shifted gears into more the import and domestic car things. But when I walk the SEMA hall upstairs, I get a little overwhelmed, and it all starts to kind of look the same. So what what are you guys doing to differentiate your product from another product that to the consumer may look the same, but it may actually function different or be different? I mean, obviously it is different, but a winch is a winch is a winch to me. So what are you guys doing to differentiate the products that you create?
Well, SEMA, it's really a B2B. There's a ton of jobbers there. So we don't really talk so much about what it does. We do a little bit of what it does for the consumer, but what it does for the jobber and their business. Mm-hmm. How easy it is to install, what kind of point of purchase opportunities, what kind of information will we be able to provide them, support, warranties, a lot of that, that's what they care about when they're there. They want to understand what's in it for me.
Okay.
So we tailor that message to the jobbers more so than the consumer.
And then as far as selling the product goes, do you sell from your website? Do you sell direct to consumer? Are you doing just through wholesalers? Do you have a private dealer network? How does that all play out?
Yeah, so we don't sell direct. So, and we have a lot of WD relationships and customers. We also sell through the e-commerce channel and in retail. So, a lot of these jobbers would go through our, WDs to get our product.
Yeah, it seems to me that if I was making 40-something thousand SKUs, I'd want to work through a wholesaler to just purchase them and then house them for me, instead of going, direct to like the shops and the installers.
Yeah,
so that's right. The path that you guys have gone down.
That's the path. Yep.
And then one last touch, you mentioned the magazines, and again, in the import world, that is all but dead. I think there's like one import magazine that's still going strong, but have you seen a consistent reader and subscriber base for, the magazines that cater to your market, or has that kind of gone down as well?
It has declined for the most part, but there are a few that, are pretty consistent. The JP magazine, the new magazine Tread, Four Wheel Off Road. These are more the hardcore enthusiast people that don't really like technology a lot of times. Mm-hmm. I personally, I want to get away from my computer when I'm out of this building. Mm-hmm. I want to look at a magazine because it's refreshing. I'm not logged in and connected to the internet all the time.
Yep.
So there's still, I think, a place for print. It's just not in every, I would say, segment.
Yeah, because if you guys are still committed to Motor Trend, I mean, that one's been around. What did you say? Motor Trend, was that one of the ones?
Motor Trend's one of them. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're still committed to that, there's got to be some use in it. That one's been around forever, and
It gets a lot of eyeballs.
yep.
Still, even with the decline.
Cool. So, working at a large corporation, do you have a pretty set schedule? Are you going in and leaving around the same time every day, or are you kind of still having to put in some grueling hours every once in a while?
Well, I try to keep pretty much the same hours. I travel periodically, but I have a family at home, 2 young boys. So I try to stay, and I usually get in here at 8:30. I try to leave by 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do sometimes have to take work home with me. So, I'll bring my laptop and my gear, and I'll have dinner with them and go to a game, whatever. And then when they go down to bed, I fire the computer back up
Get back to work.
and get back to work. So
Yeah.
I try to keep it consistent for the family.
So this is kind of a fun question we like to ask. Looking for some advice and some ways that people can improve their operations and maybe what they're doing. Do you have any advice, or maybe something that you do differently that makes you successful?
I think one thing is we're all enthusiasts here. We all drive either a truck or a Jeep, and we're all using them. I have 2 Jeeps. My wife drives a Jeep on a daily basis, and I have an old TJ, but we use them. And all the guys that I work with use theirs, and we're consumers as well. So we understand what the product's doing out there in the real world and what needs to be better, different. That's one thing you really got to tie yourself into the business.
Mm-hmm.
If you're behind the desk all day long, you're never going to get it.
Or if you're just working on cars every day and never getting to race them or drive them off road or anything.
And use them, right? Exactly.
So what is something that you struggle with in business, and how do you deal with it?
Focus. A lot of times, I think there's a lot of priorities that people want to do, a lot of opportunities to improve the business or to sell more in certain segments or markets. But at the end of the day, there's only so many resources that any company has, that we need to make sure the team is focused on the biggest priorities based on our goals and our market. A lot of times, sometimes we get sideways, and we got to bring it back in and say, no, here's our goals. Here's the top 3, top 5 things. We got to get these done first, and then we can look at this later. A lot of times we're all over the place, and it's great.
Yep.
But at a certain point, we say, all right, let's talk. Let's scale it back.
Yeah.
So you'll drown if you continue to chase everything that comes at you.
So being able to parse through that and figure out what's actually going to work, and maybe saying no to a lot of stuff is what's necessary.
Bat through the balloons.
There you go. Very cool. So what's the 1-year plan for the business from your viewpoint?
1 year would be, well, I look at it from maybe a different lens a little bit. Obviously, hitting our sales plans and margin plans.
Mm-hmm.
That's a must. But we talked a little bit before about first to market, being first to market on a lot of our core products for the new vehicles, the new Wrangler JL, the Ram, the Silverado, the new Bronco that's coming out. That's really my focus in trying to get these products out the door ahead of our competitors.
And
So
what
that's-
about, looking way into the future? What about a 5-year plan? Has that ever been discussed?
Yes, the executive team has discussed where we want to be, how we want to get there. It's a combination of acquisition and organic. We got to find the right people to help drive our business in different ways. We also have to add on to our portfolio to make sure we have a full, comprehensive offering, so you have a solution no matter where you are in the country or what you want to do with your vehicle. We still have a number of gaps in our portfolio that we've got to fill. So within 5 years, we want to fill those gaps.
Interesting. So if you make cool products for trucks, be on the lookout for Lund coming for you.
Yes.
Maybe they'll be
We're
interested.
We're already here, but we'll be even bigger.
Yeah, very cool. So just kind of a few like quick answer questions here. What's maybe a game-changing product that you've seen in the last year? And it can even be something that you guys have made that you're, really excited about that kind of changes the way things are done.
We launched, a lot of products recently with lighting integrated into the product. Whether it's our bull bar or a rack, that incorporates the light where it looks low profile and seamless, but you still have that functionality of that light. That's been a big hit for us, and we'll continue to focus on that.
Are you, utilizing another lighting company to help with that, or are you guys, going to be okay?
We're using a reputable lighting company. We don't want to be in the lighting business. Let's be clear about that.
You don't want to be that vertically integrated, huh?
Yeah, but we want to be able to incorporate these lights that are popular into our products to make it look and work seamlessly.
Gotcha. What, software tools are you guys using to manage the business on a day-to-day aspect?
Well, for one, it's Excel.
You guys
every
are
day I
Excel,
use Excel. Excel is king. And PowerPoint, obviously, but we have a system called Cognos.
Okay.
And what it does, pull data from our operating system, and you're able to slice and dice and pivot table all sorts of information in order to drill down to the detail that you need. So very cool tool.
Interesting. And so what is that like? What is the main use of that software program? Is it a inventory management or
I'd say it's more sales?
Okay.
More sales driven. Yep.
And then just one last kind of fun one here. You said you've got a Jeep, but what is your regular daily driver, going to and from work kind of grocery getter car? 2006
Toyota 4Runner.
Oh, nice. So you've got an older 4Runner as well, huh?
4th gen. Yes. I had a 3rd gen. I have a 4th, and I'll probably get a 5th or 6th.
Those cars they just keep getting better and better. And the TRD edition ones with the cool colors, they're just ready to go right out of the box.
I love those things. I don't think I can afford one, but I love them.
Very cool. So, just to close out here, where, if people are interested in finding more about the business, where can they go online to get more information?
Well, you can start with londoninternational.com, and then within that, you can see all the brands and click on each of the brands, and it'll take you to that website as well. So I would start there.
Very cool. And that's got listings of, the products and where they can buy them and, find out more info on each one of them.
Yep. It has a dealer locator on there. You type in your zip code, find where each of these products are being sold.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking some time and telling us about, yourself and the company. It was kind of a big eye opener for me to, talk to somebody that's got a lot of experience with product development and then, just life cycles of all this stuff in the different companies. So really appreciate it.
No problem, Todd. Enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app. Tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe, you help us gain momentum and attract more high-level guests. Thanks for listening, and good luck.